Alright guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. Go check out Akeem's Super Bowl predictions. We're going to have Ezra Ice Cream from Idiot Sports Talk, his Super Bowl predictions this week, mine in the next couple days, Justin Godsey as well. So you're certainly going to want to watch out for those. What we do every Super Bowl week, though, is I always do a video where I talk about the matchup of the quarterbacks. Even though the quarterbacks don't go head-to-head technically, it's something that a lot of people like to hear about who would you rather have on your team for this specific game. And 2 years ago, it was Ben Roethlisberger versus Aaron Rodgers. Last year, it was Eli Manning versus Tom Brady. This year, as you can see on the screen right now, it is Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers versus Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens. Throughout this playoffs, they've both done tremendous things. Joe Flacco has thrown 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and overall statistically has had one of the better playoffs in NFL history out of a quarterback. Colin Kaepernick played very, very well in the 49ers' first game in the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers, where he set a quarterback rushing record with over 260 yards in the game. That being said, or 160 I should say. That being said, last week, or 2 weeks ago, well, a little more than a week ago, against the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC title game, Colin Kaepernick he didn't play that well. He played good. He made some good throws. He helped to get them back in the game. But I think help is the key word in that sentence. Colin Kaepernick did not throw for 200 yards. He did not rush for 100 yards. He played a good game. He didn't make as many mistakes as Matt Ryan, and that was why they were ultimately able to win this game. But Colin Kaepernick, people were giving him so much credit. He's got so much poise. He's so young. That was a team win that you saw there. Frank Gore, LaMichael James, Vernon Davis, and then defensively, what Vic Fangio did, helping to turn that defense around in the second half. That was a defensive win, and Colin Kaepernick offensively, he was able to get the help he needed. It's not to say that he wasn't a big part of them turning that game around, but when I hear people say, oh, he's put this team on his back, that sounds stupid to me. The only game where I've seen Colin Kaepernick in his 8 or 9 starts that he's made so far really put the team on his back is the Green Bay Packers playoff game. Other than that, I've been impressed. I haven't been blown away with some of his other games the way people have. So let me look at what each guy has going for them right now, in addition to how they're playing, because a lot of how they play is going to depend, like I just said, on how people on their team, the players around them, play. First, looking at Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is a better deep ball passer by far. I think he's the best deep ball passer in the NFL. And also as a receiver right now, in Anquan Boldin, who is absolutely balling. We saw twice Joe Flacco was able to just throw balls up in the end zone, and Anquan Boldin came down. Now, the Super Bowl is 2 weeks after that New England game, and who knows if Anquan Boldin is going to be able to do that against a much better 49er secondary that features Carlos Rogers, Dashon Goldson, Dante Whitner. It is a very good secondary. I don't know if Anquan Boldin is going to be able to play the way he did against a secondary that good. That being said, we saw what Julio Jones did against them in the first quarter, so it's certainly possible that Anquan Boldin can play that way. He also has Torrey Smith, who is a deep threat, and that goes perfectly with the style that Joe Flacco throws, because the way that the Ravens were able to win the game against the Denver Broncos in the AFC divisional round was they were able to get some deep passes, both of which I believe in the first quarter. Obviously the big one was the Jacoby Jones one late, but you had the pass to Torrey Smith. I believe he had 2 touchdowns in the first half, both of which were above 30 or 40 yard passes. So you have Torrey Smith. He didn't do a ton last week or in the AFC title game, but he has been a very good wide receiver for Joe Flacco. And then you also have Dennis Pitt, who's become one of the best tight ends, or Dennis Pitt, I should say, who's become one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I think he's a very good tight end. That should help Joe Flacco in this game. And then you have the advantage of not only having Ray Rice in your backfield, but him and Matt Forte, for my money, are the best pass-catching backs in the NFL right now. So to get that option as well. And I think that there is something to be said for, it's going to depend what Jim Caldwell's game plan is. Both of these guys, and Flacco and Kaepernick. They're not Brady and Rodgers. We're going to see them drop back and throw the ball probably 40 and 50 times in this game. That's not going to happen. They both have good running games. You see what Ray Rice has done for the Ravens. And then when you look over to Colin Kaepernick's side, you have not only Frank Gore, who's had a very good year, you lost Kendall Hunter, you released Brandon Jacobs, but now you have LaMichael James out of Oregon, who is making a huge impact in the second half of this season and into the playoffs for the 49ers. He's another piece that you have that is very valuable because he's a completely different back than Frank Gore. It's a change of speed. Frank Gore is more of a bruiser, and LaMichael James is lightning quick, and it's tough to defend when you're going back and forth between two guys that are very different. Now, Colin Kaepernick, the key for the Ravens in this game is going to be are they able to keep Colin Kaepernick in the pocket? Because when you keep him in the pocket and when they're running the pistol and the read option and Colin Kaepernick doesn't keep the ball and isn't able to get those big runs like we saw against Atlanta, you can contain him and keep your team in the game. Now, Atlanta lost, but it wasn't because they weren't able to keep, or because Colin Kaepernick ran all over them. It was because the 49ers offense ultimately did enough to win that game, mixed with some Matt Ryan turnovers. Now, when Colin Kaepernick played the Green Bay Packers, they had no plan for him. He was able to keep the ball, and he ultimately ended up setting the quarterback single-game rushing record and catching national headlines. So what you're going to have to do, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Lodi Nada, this entire defense, you're going to have to try and keep Colin Kaepernick in the pocket as much as you can. Now, you're not going to keep him 100% in the pocket, but when you are able to do that and he isn't able to throw as much, or when you make him throw more than he runs, he's a very good thrower. He was drafted in the MLB as a pitcher, but I think there's a lot of times where he becomes too reliant on screen passes to Michael Crabtree. And when you're able to take Vernon Davis out of the game, like we saw the Falcons do in the first half, then Colin Kaepernick has not had nearly as much success. Now, Vernon Davis got hot in the second half of that Falcons game, and he lit it up, and the 49ers won that game. So the Ravens have a lot more, if you do this, then you can stop him, than I think the 49ers do with Joe Flacco. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of ifs with Colin Kaepernick, and that's why I'm not saying I'm picking the Ravens yet, because I'm really not 100% sure who I'm taking for this game. But the safe pick for my money, and I'm someone that likes to take the safe pick, especially in a game that means this much. I'm going with Joe Flacco in this game. I think he's had a very good playoffs. I think people are overrating him. Yes, he's not in the same class as Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, but he is a very good quarterback, a top 10 quarterback, no doubt. And I like that. I feel like I know what I'm getting with Joe Flacco, and I'm not sure that I know what I'm getting with Colin Kaepernick, because it needs to be more of an overall team performance from Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers, rather than, not that Joe Flacco is going to take over the game, but I think that Joe Flacco is going to play his game no matter who he plays against. Colin Kaepernick, if it's a team that holds him into the pocket, he's reduced to being not nearly as good as he is when he's able to get out of the pocket. So I'm taking Joe Flacco for the Super Bowl over Colin Kaepernick. Not my prediction yet. Again, I don't know what my prediction is going to be, but certainly that is what I'm going to take, at least for my quarterback, for Super Bowl 47. We are closing in on Super Bowl 47. One thing I want to mention, I've obtained Section 215. That's a Philly... Section215.com. That's a Philly sports site that is partnered with Fansided and Sports Illustrated. I've been named the new editor of that site, and we're looking for writers. We're looking for anyone that is interested in writing about the Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, Eagles. You don't need to be a Philly sports fan. One thing about blogging, and I am a Philly sports fan, but one thing about blogging and journalism is you don't always get the positions you want, and sometimes taking things that build up your resume helps you to get to another position. So anyone who's interested in that, leave a comment below. I'll get your information and we can figure things out and see if it could be a fit. For now, I'm Tim Kelly. This is Real Sports Talk. See you guys later.